He called up Irene and said, "Hey, why are you doing this to me? You didn't have anything before." And she didn't. That's true. He helped create a character that was terrifically advantageous to her. Irene got upset.
Max Baer Jr. is the last man standing. At 88 years old, the man the world froze in time as Jethro Bodine lives quietly, far removed from the canned laughter and painted hills of 1960s television. The Beverly Hillbillies was once the most watched show in America, a cultural juggernaut that shaped an era. Now, everyone who built it is gone. Buddy Ebsen, Donna Douglas, Irene Ryan. When you're the last survivor, memory becomes a burden. For decades, Max guarded the myth, protected the smiles, and kept the uncomfortable truths buried. But history changes when there's no one left to argue with you. And now, with the curtain long fallen and the laughter faded, Max is finally ready to tell the story of the woman America adored and Hollywood quietly failed. To the world, Daisy Granny Moses was a sweet, pint-sized firecracker, a barefoot mountain woman who stirred possum stew and kept billionaires trembling with a wooden spoon. But behind the calico dress and wire-rimmed glasses was Irene Ryan, a woman shaped by loss, discipline, and an iron will forged long before Hollywood ever noticed her. Max spent nearly a decade beside her under scorching lights and muddy backlots, and what he saw was far more complicated than the legend. The sweet grandma was real, but so was the force of nature behind her. Finding the right granny almost broke the show before it began. Creator Paul Henning knew the character couldn't be cute or cartoonish. Granny had to feel dangerous and loving at the same time. Dozens of actresses auditioned and failed. When Irene Ryan walked into the room, she didn't ask for the role, she claimed it. By then, Irene was already a hardened veteran, shaped by decades in vaudeville. Long before Beverly Hills, she was half of a comedy duo known as Tim and Irene, performing rapid-fire physical comedy alongside her husband, Tim Ryan. Together, they toured relentlessly, perfecting timing that would later define Granny. When Tim Ryan died in 1956, Irene lost both her partner on stage and her anchor in life. Max would later wonder if Granny's fierce independence was Irene proving, to herself most of all, that she could carry the spotlight alone. When the Beverly Hillbillies premiered in 1962, no one predicted what would happen next. The show didn't just succeed, it exploded. It became the #1 rated show in America for 2 consecutive seasons, dominating the Nielsen ratings in 1962-63 and 1963-64. Every week, tens of millions tuned in. That success came with crushing pressure. If Granny stumbled, the entire empire could collapse. Irene knew it. That's why she fought for every line, every movement, every beat. She wasn't chasing applause. She was defending the foundation of the biggest show on television. Each morning, Irene endured a brutal transformation. Though she was only in her late 50s when the show began, she had to look decades older. Heavy grease paint, spirit gum, deep lines etched into her face, an hour of discomfort before cameras even rolled. She hated the process, but refused to soften it. Granny had to look real. Max noticed something else, too. When the wig went on, Irene changed. Her posture hunched, her pace quickened, and the woman beneath vanished. Even directors hesitated around her. The makeup wasn't just costume, it was armor. Buddy Ebsen understood that suffering better than anyone. Years before the Beverly Hillbillies, he nearly died playing the Tin Man in The Wizard of Oz. The aluminum powder makeup damaged his lungs and sent him to the hospital, costing him the role. So when Buddy watched Irene endure hours of heavy makeup day after day, he recognized the sacrifice. Max remembers Buddy quietly checking on her during makeup sessions, a silent bond between two performers who had literally paid for their craft with their bodies. On screen, Jethro and Granny were comedy gold. Off-screen, their bond was deeper than anyone realized. Max was young, suddenly famous, and dangerously close to being dismissed as the character he played. Irene became his mentor. She whispered advice about camera angles, timing, and survival. She didn't flatter him. If he was lazy, she said so. If he nailed a scene, a single nod from her meant more than fan mail ever could. Between takes, they ate lunch together, away from the noise. The Granny voice disappeared, replaced by a sharp, private woman who spoke openly about loneliness and the cost of success. Max became her muscle. Irene became his compass. Despite being the heartbeat of the show, industry recognition came up short. Irene Ryan was nominated for Emmy Awards in 1963 and 1964 for outstanding continued performance by an actress in a comedy series. Twice her name was called. Twice she went home empty-handed. Publicly, she shrugged it off, insisting the work mattered more than statues. Privately, Max saw the sting. She knew she was delivering one of the greatest comedic performances on television, yet Hollywood's gatekeepers kept looking past her. Loved by millions, overlooked by the elites. As the show soared, whispers followed. Irene was labeled difficult. Max heard it constantly. To him, the label was a lie. Irene came from vaudeville. If you weren't perfect, you didn't eat. She had no patience for missed marks or lazy writing. When she challenged a director, it wasn't ego, it was protection. Buddy Ebsen was called a leader for demanding changes. Irene Ryan was called difficult for doing the same. Max watched that double standard play out every day. She didn't soften herself to be liked. She held the line so the show wouldn't collapse. Behind the toughness, Max noticed something else. Irene was fading. She lost weight, she moved slower when cameras weren't rolling. Between takes, she gripped the back of chairs to steady herself. She never complained. Being sick wasn't an option when you carried the #1 show in America. She hid her illness behind Granny's frailty, turning weakness into performance. Max knew, but Irene shut down any concern. The show had to go on. When the Beverly Hillbillies ended in 1971, Irene didn't slow down. She went straight to Broadway, landing a triumphant role in Pippin. At 70 years old, she performed No Time at All while climbing onto a trapeze 8 times a week. Let that sink in. A 70-year-old woman, heart failing, suspended in the air, singing about living life fully before it's too late. The audience saw joy. Max saw danger. In 1973, Irene suffered a stroke mid-performance. She fought for weeks, but the curtain fell for the last time. While Irene worked herself to the edge, Max faced a different fate. When the show ended, Jethro didn't. Max tried directing, producing, even launching business ventures, some using the Jethro name. CBS owned the rights. Lawsuits followed. Hollywood saw only the flannel shirt and the punchline. Irene could take Granny off at night. Jethro never left Max. That's why he guards her legacy so fiercely, because he knows the cost of being remembered for a role you can't escape. The damage wasn't his alone. Donna Douglas, beloved as Ellie Mae, found herself trapped too. Hollywood couldn't see past the hillbilly blonde. Roles dried up. She eventually walked away from acting altogether. Irene pushed until it killed her. Donna left. Max fought on. Being the last survivor means carrying all of it. The success, the loss, the roads not taken. In death, Irene had one final act. She left her fortune not to monuments, but to the future. The Irene Ryan Acting Scholarships, administered through the Kennedy Center American Theater Festival, became one of the most prestigious awards in college theater. Every year, young performers hear her name called, not as Granny, but as a woman who believed talent deserved a chance. Max loves that. Irene didn't just entertain America, she built a bridge for the next generation. Today, when Max Baer Jr. watches reruns of the Beverly Hillbillies, he sees more than nostalgia. He sees discipline, sacrifice, and a woman who refused to shrink even when dressed to look small. Irene Ryan wasn't feared, she was respected. If her story changed how you see television history, like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.